me.
Of course, you're more than welcome. Glad to have you on. We've talked a little bit for a week. I'm so glad that this has worked out. I'm super
Yes.
excited to have you on. I had such a great time on your show, and I'm more than happy to have you on mine. It'll be We'll have an awesome time today. So, without further ado, Emma Kapotes, happy to have you on. I said it right?
Yes, you did. You nailed it.
Nailed it. Perfect. I did a lot of practice there in the 2 minutes before. So, I have you on today. We're gonna. Oh my God, I'm like drawing a blank. What I was gonna start with, but anyway, here we go.
Keep going.
Yeah, we're just gonna roll with the punches here, like we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
So you do your content creation, your content creating, you do podcasting, you've got the YouTube, you've got all that going on for you. And is that like your main thing that you're working on? Is it a side hustle? Tell me a little bit about where that sits in your life.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So the general story is my background is in graphic design. So my careers have always been in that. So I do have a 9-to-5 job that I've been at almost 4 years, which is like my longest job to date. And I'm a digital design director. So I work on front end web design and sales presentations and all that kind of stuff during the day. And then a little over 3 years ago, I started my YouTube channel, which was based around the EDM community and music. It was based on getting people prepared for music festivals. Mm-hmm. And then a little over a year ago, I decided to do podcasts because I became obsessed with listening to them. And I felt like there were a couple videos I wanted to make that were just I had too much to say about them. And I was like, they need to be in the podcast format. And same thing with you, with interviewing people. I was like, it'd also be really nice to get people on the podcast. So I've been doing that a little bit. And then, social media just plays a part in everything. So there's the whole component of, then having a social media presence and covering all of the major platforms and doing that. So that's kind of like a short version of what I do.
Short little summary, yeah. Well, I actually want to backtrack that a little bit because I do want to talk, obviously, we want to talk about your podcast. I want to know about social medias and how you got into all that. But I do want to backtrack a little bit. Tell me more about your graphic design background and the role you play as a digital designer, because to me, that is such an interesting job, an interesting world that I know very little about. That's not my degree. That's not my expertise. I'm trying to learn it because, as you know, is a big part of content creation. You got to kind of know some of that, at least in my mind. I think you do. So give me a little info on that role that you're doing for 9 to 5. What does that entail? You gave a brief summary. So what does that entail that you're doing with that?
Yeah, so I went to the College of New Jersey for graphic design, and I actually wanted to be in the magazine industry. Just like growing up, seeing like movies like The Devil Wears Prada, I was just like, I want to be in the and magazines were like the shit before social media. You know what I mean? Like that was where you went to read everything. So I had an internship at 17 magazine, and then I worked for Reader's Digest magazine for 3 years, just in like the art departments and stuff like that. And then obviously we saw this shift of print essentially dying out and digital getting bigger and bigger. And there's magazines obviously still exist today, but we don't read them unless I'm in an airport.
Or dentist office. I feel like dentist office are so full of them. You're like, how the hell did all this where all the magazines when they're in the dentist office?
Exactly. And it's tough because like I love, and some people are book readers and they love like having a hard copy. Like I still love magazines, but when I was at Reader's Digest and I saw that shift starting to happen, I just was quick to be like, okay, how do I get into the digital department there? And that's what I did. And I ended up being a digital photo editor, and I was just churning out like photo research for the website and planning photo shoots and doing stuff like that. So I have a little bit of photo background. And then at my new job, it was a graphic designer role, pretty straightforward. I kind of took a lateral move. It wasn't much more pay or anything like that, but I just wanted to get back into Manhattan. I always wanted to work in New York City, and then loved it. And now I've been there for 4 years, and I've like had a couple of different jobs, but now my job is way more front end web design. I've been like redesigning a bunch of the company's websites, and then I assist like the sales department and do like sales presentations and all that fun stuff. So I've kind of touched a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything digitally. In that genre.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I enjoy it. I definitely enjoy it. It's definitely a good skill to have. Like you said, with social media, I feel like now there's some really cool platforms. Like Canva is really helpful if you don't have a design background.
I have none, and I use Canva.
It's so helpful. Honestly, I need to learn it better, but
Oh, I could
Yeah,
learn
I
it way
think
better. I use it very basic right now.
yeah, exactly. But it is. It's like it's easy and it helps you out. And then later on, when I started the YouTube channel, I used iMovie for probably the first 2 years, I want to say, and then eventually I had a coworker who was our video editor. I was like, "Can you please show me how to do Adobe Premiere because I want to just upgrade." And it actually wasn't too bad to learn. I feel like if you know
Really?
the Adobe suite, it
Okay.
wasn't that bad.
I will keep that in mind. I know I don't. I'm trying to get into that editor style, and yeah, iMovie to me is like just doesn't cut it for what you really might
Yeah,
need. So Adobe Premiere, I will make note of that and maybe find some way easy to learn it.
I'll screen share with you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There we go. Lessons. We're gonna pick a night.
Yes.
That's awesome. No. What is what did it get to do? What's like the background info on like graphic design? Because I know nothing about it. I'm intrigued by that because I think that's such a key part of today's like world. Like we've just been saying, and like I mean, I had somebody that I know graduated and they helped make my logos. I don't know how any of that works. So is there like a program that you use? Is there some software that you're using to make that stuff? I literally know nothing.
Yeah, no, I'll walk you through it. So our freshman year, it was like core classes. So it was like drawing. I just sounded so New Jersey. Drawing,
Drawing.
color theory, like basic. So it was really like print, like regular like fine arts kind of skills,
Mhm.
which I was not the best at. Like I was fucking terrible at drawing. Sorry, can I curse?
Yo, absolutely. Yeah, go fucking right
Okay,
ahead.
okay, okay.
Because just fucking
We're
just say
about
it
to
out, let
drop
it
a lot
out.
of F-bombs.
I'll just say a lot of them right in a row to brush over yours.
Exactly. So no, so we started with that. So you kind of had to have like a basic understanding of art, and then and again, like I was in school in like 2009 through 2000, 2013. So I was Photoshop is the big one you're gonna learn. InDesign is another one. InDesign is more for print design. So that's like again, I kind of had in my head I wanted to work for a magazine, so I focused a lot on InDesign and print design. But they teach you a little bit of everything, and I feel like with graphic design, it's one of those things that they tell you like somebody will hire a graphic designer and they'll be like, oh, okay, so I need somebody who knows logo branding and motion graphics and XYZ, and it's like those are all separate majors and you might know a little bit of each, but you kind of specialize in
Oh,
something,
that's
right?
interesting.
So
Okay.
I never learned motion graphics, and then when I went to apply for jobs outside of college, there would be like a laundry list of what they would want a graphic designer to know, and it's like, okay, I know a couple of these things, but I really need to just learn them on the job and figure it out from there, you know? But Photoshop is the big one.
That's kind of interesting. I would have never guessed that. So then my question leading off of that is what
Mm-hmm.
tips would you kind of have for people coming up the pipeline that want to get into that type of field or graphic design field for them to like, what avenue would you suggest them now that you've been through it?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I mean, if I was in school now, I obviously would have taken a lot more motions graphics and video classes, but that's just what the trend is right now. Um, and I think, I mean, it's just like that's the beauty of online learning. Even in my jobs, there's a website called lynda.com, and I think Skillshare is very similar, where you can take like online courses and they're really short and they'll teach you about the different programs. So, if anything, like if you want to just learn it on your own and you don't even want to go to college or get a degree in anything, you can just go to those websites and sign up and do tutorials and just walk through it, you know?
Yeah, that's I agree with that. The internet's today
Yeah.
nowadays. That was gonna be my next thing. You kind of just jumped the gun there on and led into it. Like, what are your thoughts on? You mentioned you went to college. I went to college as well. But what are
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts specifically on going to college? Is it worth it in your field? Is it not worth it? Is it? I mean, you can almost say that in any field. I'm just
Yeah,
curious. What are your thoughts?
that's true. I know.
For real.
Interesting topic. Actually,
So-
I do have thoughts on this. I think it's changed. I mean, obviously given COVID and the situation happening now, it's like it just shows you that you can do so much online. For my degree, I am glad I went to school. I think there were some of the basics I needed to learn. And again, some of these programs, it really is just using them over and over and over again and getting more comfortable. But then I had some teachers who weren't the best at it, and we were teaching ourselves kind of. So on the flip side,
We've all been there.
yeah, exactly. My fiance didn't go to college. He works for PSE&G, which is a gas company in New Jersey, and like worked his way up and is doing incredibly well, and, you know, is unionized and things like that. And so he's in the trades and loves it. So I'm, you know, when we have kids one day, I'm like, I really don't care. It depends on what they want to do. And I didn't have that growing up, but now being 29 years old, looking at it, I'm like, whatever your skills and expertise are in and what you're interested in is what you should pursue. College is not meant for everybody.
I absolutely agree with that. I think even more so, I would take it to the extreme of like, there are certain degrees that I would say require the college degree. I mean, certain professions, I'm sorry, that would require the degree, but their majority of them, I would say you could learn it online or through just like you're saying,
100%.
Just having to go work in it. And then of course there is the trades and stuff that I know I have friends that did like welding and stuff like that, making great money, and they're out making bank like this, and they've just learned that trade and they've dove into it and they love it. And I think that's something that I think starting with our generation and slowly picking up with the other generations behind us is that you don't necessarily have to go to college. You know, you can have that idea of being sort of like an entrepreneur and diving into what you want to do and working hard for it and learning it on your own. And I think that's becoming more and more apparent possibly. So hopefully we'll see. I mean, there definitely are degrees. Like I would say if you're going to be a doctor or an engineer, you might need that background.
Probably. I might. But it's like, it's interesting too though, because I was just thinking in my head also, it's like there's the degree aspect of it and then there's the experience aspect. And so a lot of people might just want the college experience, which I definitely would say was still a pretty big part of it for me. Like all my best friends right now were in my sorority, and I chose a college that was near home because I just wanted to be near my parents, and that in-state tuition was pretty good. But there is that aspect of it, which I know it's your degree first, but some people kind of just want those 4 years to go away and like learn a lot about themselves and have that community. So I feel like that can play a little bit into it as well.
Yeah, you know, you're not wrong. You're definitely there's definitely I could name a few friends that it's like I'm just going to go, man. I'm having fun.
And your parents are paying for it, or you are, and
and you know that's the thing I would say is when I talk about these issues, I'm almost talking to more people that don't have that circumstance where they are like my parents are paying for it, and I'm here because I have to. I'm hoping to better my life, and you know, like it's obviously have your fun, no doubt about it. I had my fun for sure, but there's but there is a certain level of I don't know if you ever got that sense. I know I got that sense of like you know, I'm here, I'm learning, but I feel like I could be doing something else, and it not everyone gets that, but I also think it has a lot to do with, you know, some people don't have that freedom to mess around. And I think that's where I talk about like, don't go if you don't know what you want to do. You know, if you're having to take out your own student loans and or a loan from a bank or whatever it might be from wherever you're getting it from, that's when you really gotta kind of hone in and sit in on what like, okay, what is it that I want to do? How serious am I about it? And all that stuff, because there is, you know, there's a huge problem with student loans, obviously, and it's definitely a big issue that I think it's not talked about as much. You know, it's not talked about the right avenues, the way to go. I know I was very adamant on like I don't want to go to community college. I want to go, if I'm going to go, I'm going to go 4 years and
university.
I've got loans myself now, so it's like, okay, maybe I didn't make the right decision.
I feel that.
But
I know.
All sorts of that stuff. Anyways, we could go down that rabbit hole for sure. But
I know.
let's plow ahead here and move on. Honestly.
Sure.
So how did you decide to get started in this role you're in now as a content creator, podcaster, festival blogger? I don't know if you consider yourself a festival blogger, but
yeah, it's part of it.
Okay. Glad I didn't use the wrong term.
You nailed it.
And so how did you yourself get involved, and when did you take that first step? How about that?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. It really was EDC Las Vegas that pushed it over the edge for me. Like I would say I wanted to do a YouTube channel probably for a while. I actually started with an Instagram page that is now private, but I'm very big into makeup. I've always loved makeup so much. And probably, I don't even know at this point, maybe it was like 5 years ago or 4. beauty tutorials on Instagram like blew up. That was a thing. It was like 60-second makeup tutorials. And I was like, oh, this would be fun. I would love to do that. So I actually started a beauty Instagram page that is private now. But honestly, like sometimes you have to try something and fail at it. And I really enjoyed it. I posted these makeup looks. The photos are probably fucking horrendous. But after that didn't work out, I kind of thought to myself, I was like, beauty is such a big space. You're going to be a small fish in a very big pond. And I already felt behind. And then I did EDC Las Vegas in 2015. It was my first big EDM festival. And I remember watching YouTube videos to prepare. And there were two girls that I forget their names. I think one's name was Jessica. There were two girls and they had like 3 videos maybe. I watched the videos over and over and over again. And I was like, this is so helpful. I love this. I know what to pack now. And then I did 2 EDCs and eventually took the plunge in 2017. And I was like, I want to make videos to help people prepare because these festivals are a very big deal. And like, I had learned some lessons and I was like, okay, I want to make sure people don't make the same mistakes that I made and they feel more prepared. And then, it was my first video was March 2017. And it was actually what to pack for Ultra Music Festival because I was heading to Ultra.
All right, Miami. Yeah. Party in Miami.
Yeah.
All right, exactly. All right. Ultras. I gotta ask how that was before we continue.
It was so much fun, honestly. I haven't been back. I had tickets to go back this year, but I just went with my one of my best friends. It was just the 2 of us. We flew down there. It was so much fun. I think that might have been my first or second time in Miami, and it was great. We really, really enjoyed it. The stages were really incredible. It's like you watch the live streams and you watch the videos for so long. So to finally see that main stage in person and the worldwide stage, I was like, this is unreal. Big party festival.
A big party festival for sure. It's funny. I live in Florida and I've never been to Ultra. So you've got me beat on that. No, it's like, at least this is my friends and I view. No, not that we won't go one day, but being in college and being kind of broke, when we wanted to all travel more than we just looked at it and we were like, it's a great festival, but it's very expensive and it's in our home state. We were like, we can go anytime we want. We have to still spend $400 on a ticket. Plus, plus we still would have to get a hotel because we don't live in Miami. So it's like, we could go to, we could go to Lost Lands, we can go to EDC Vegas for the same price and get to see something, new area of the country, everything. And it was like, we'll just keep passing until maybe that money we get more money or, we have more free time, and it's a really crazy lineup. But yeah, you've got me beat on that. I've never been. So
I would agree with you. I've been pretty vocal, especially this year. Like the ticket prices are pretty insane. I would argue and this was our plan this year. Miami Music Week was by far the most fun. We ended up doing, I think, 1 or 2 pool parties, and it was my favorite part. And this year we bought tickets like a day party and a night party for every single day leading up to Ultra. We were gonna go like balls to the wall. So I would argue just go do that because those parties and those lineups are absolutely
they are crazy.
Incredible.
Miami Music Week. Yeah. And it's funny is I didn't know until I lived in Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale area for a little bit, and I didn't even know about Miami Music Week until I was down there. And then when I was all this stuff was popping up, I'm like, there's so many shows going on right now. What is going on? They're like, it's Miami Music Week, and I was like, I had no idea. Now they're doing something similar with that with EDC. Yeah, EDC week before Vegas now. That wasn't always there from my understanding. But
yeah, no, that grew as well.
I definitely would like to do that one year too because that looks just as much fun. Same thing pool parties at all the different resorts and stuff like that. I think that'd be fun.
It's so much fun. It's dangerous. It's one of those. I talk about this all the time. It's like if it's your first time, I think people are going to do whatever they want to do. I think people are just going to pack their schedules, which if you can handle it, go for it. You do you. But after doing it 5 times,
oh my gosh,
we're very careful about what days we do pool parties, and we might go to the nightclub one night out of the 5 that were there.
Gotcha. Good advice. I will keep that noted for sure. So you started out with the makeup page. Yes. When did you get into the page that you have now? Was that right after your first EDC? No,
I've had this one since I've had my Instagram since college and did not start taking it seriously. I mean, when the YouTube channel started happening, I think I posted a lot more and it became way more obviously all EDM shows and festival content. And then I would say probably last year, last January is where things started to take off for my channel and just my subscriber base in 2019. I also did the most festivals I've ever done, so I kind of correlated to that, and that's when I started taking my page more seriously. And then in COVID now, I've like rethought of ways to drive more engagement and just have way more fun with it. And you know, we're home now. We all have to improvise what to do without festivals. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So when was that time frame that you started your page that we just like? I'm gonna shut the floor up right now. Sorry. Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, I think so. I've probably had it since 20. Well, no, if I've had it all of college, it was probably started in like 2012 or something like that. I don't know. It's been a while. I don't even know when Instagram was founded.
Okay, so you chose to like use your original Instagram and just grow that.
It's always
and just
been
take
this. I used to probably have a different name, and then I just made it my straight name. But yeah, no, this has been the one for a while.
So did it start with? It started with festival advice, and then I'm sorry, it started with makeup, right? And then
yeah, and it was just like personal photos, like
personal photos.
Friends from college, yeah, like family holidays. Like it wasn't anything serious. I think probably in like 2014, 2015, when I, was going ham with the shows and festivals, is when it was more like EDM content.
So you started, when did you make that switch to more of the festival content creator? How about that?
The YouTube channel was, I started in 2017. So I didn't do any videos prior to that. I'm trying to think. Social media would have just been like posts of like clips from shows. I started going to EDM shows in 2011. That was my first one.
You have quite a lot of years on me on that, but I'm a little jealous.
Well, I got very, very lucky because I was in college during the bubble. So, like it was Avicii and Swedish House Mafia, and like it was like the fucking prime. Yeah. So I got lucky that's a lot of good people. Like 21 when that was all happening, and a friend just invited me. It was Lyfe in Color. It used to be called Dayglow, the paint party.
Yeah. Okay, I know of Lyfe in Color.
Yeah, it came to the town that we were in college, and I mean, obviously, like you don't go to as much when you're in school. You don't have as much money, and they were like, "You should come to this paint party. It'll be really fun." And I liked dance music at the time, and then the part like I loved it. I was like, "This is fucking amazing," and it was a down the rabbit hole from then.
So tell me about that first festival then. So everyone's got that first one where they're like you said, that was the one that really got you, into it. And I always like to hear that story of how you dove into it, because that's exactly how I got into it. It's just like I got that first one and I was like,
one and done.
This is where I want. These are my people. Like this is where I'm going.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, like talk about like living your life every day for yourself. Like I just love to dance. Exactly. Like you're gonna totally relate to this. To me, I was thinking about this the other day because obviously with like COVID going on and everything, like I genuinely feel like a part of me is missing because I love live events so much. I've been going to festivals since I was like 15 and live events since I was like really, really young. So live music is such a big part of my life. And I was saying, like, I think the biggest thing I miss about festivals is that's the time I feel like the most alive and the most present when I'm at a festival. Like, there's nothing like that where you're just so focused on what's going on in the moment and the people around you and the music that's playing and just dancing. And it's just the most freeing thing ever. So I totally missed your question, but
no, you nailed it right in the head. I don't know, actually, no, but yeah, but I agree is that like it is something like that. It's just something about being there and the music and with friends, and you can just do what you want to do and be you and be free, and no one's judging you. You're just enjoying. They're having just as good a time, if not a better time than what you're having, and everyone's on that same page. I agree.
I was going to say, so about the EDM show, so what got us into it, I had a core group who are still my best friends today. They were in my sorority. And, in college, it's definitely a party atmosphere. Like, we had our fun. We did our things. And it was a lot of the paint parties. And then Barstool Sports did a series of events called Barstool Blackout, which was the most ratchet events you could ever imagine. It was basically like a guy on stage who was somebody on their staff with a laptop, and people were just getting like all kinds of weird and fucked up. So we did a whole bunch of those. And the thing that changed is as we got older and out of college, it's like a lot of people fade away because they were just doing it to party, and we were so into like the artists. Like we would always be like, who is this guy on stage? Like we need a real DJ here. So we were really into the music itself. And then, you know, I live in New Jersey. We're so close to New York City. We're very, very lucky that we have so much access to like whoever who's going to come through New York and Brooklyn. And, you know, I was going to so many EDM shows, like maybe once a month or once every 2 months. And just, you know, loved it. Like absolutely loved just seeing live events. And then, you know, festivals came on top of that in 2015.
Yeah, and then like you say, once you get to that first festival, it's like everything's just so. Yeah, I mean, it either clicks or it doesn't. And I always tell people they should at least go to one, and whether they like it or not, they get to see it, they get to experience it, they get to say they've done it all. And because I have friends that have gone, and same thing like me, they're like hooked instantly. They're like, okay, let's go, let's roll with it. And I have other people that are like, yeah, that was really fun, and I might go to one again, but I'm not like gonna go as many as you go to. Like that's like I'm like the friend in my friend group I think of that like is known for like people know I go to festivals. Like they're just like, right. Where it's like I remember I saw some friends that like out of the bar one night I hadn't seen for a while because now that I'm back home, and they're like, oh, hey, you know, how's it going? Hey, it was pre-COVID, of course. What's your next festival? And I'm like, oh, you know, we'll see, but maybe this one and this one and this one and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what? That's, you know, that's crazy. We knew you'd be going to something, blah, blah, blah. So I always get asked that. It's funny,
it's
though.
True, though. It definitely, I think we forget this because we're so involved in festivals, but you are right. Like, it's just not an atmosphere for some people. Some people aren't into crowds. Some people, like, it's not their cup of tea music-wise. It's the weekends, we know, like they're taxing on your body. It's a lot of money. So it definitely isn't for some people. Like my fiance, not a fan at all. I've like tried to bring him to it and he cannot he cannot do it.
Really? That's interesting. That's an interesting dynamic there, but that's good for you guys. I'm glad. So has he ever been to any with you? Did he at least try?
I dragged him to Izu this year for one day and he did not love it. But he was a trooper. He came to support it.
That's awesome. That's what makes stuff work. You at least try it, and you're like, you know, I did it for you, and then don't invite me again.
He's a big snowboarder, and like I'm actually terrified. Like I do not like heights. I don't like going downhill. So once a year I'll go snowboarding with him, and you know we'll call it even.
That's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I would love to talk to him about snowboarding. Anyways, moving on. But so. What would you say then is your favorite festival? Because I know you've been to a lot.
Yeah,
actually, I'm going to break that up because this is how I usually break it up, and I totally forgot. Please. What would you say your favorite is that you can think of, and then what would you say the best time you had at one? Because there is quite a difference.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you. I would say, so anybody who knows me know I've done EDC Las Vegas 5 times. It's by far my favorite. It's like it's home to me because I just like think so many positive memories are tied to it. And again, like it's what started all of this for me. And to me, it's like the mecca for ravers, obviously, besides Tomorrowland, if we're talking like international. That's the number one. That and Electric Forest are the top 2 for my bucket list because of a similar like vibe of community and things like that. But EDC because it's like the home for ravers. Yeah. It's like I just absolutely love it.
It's the North America Mecca, I would say, for sure.
It is 100%, and it's just like there's nothing that tops that. Like especially you spoil it for yourself. Like I did that one first a few times before I ventured to other festivals, so it's like you can't really top it.
I could not imagine that being my first festival. It's so when I tell you. Going last year was my first EDC Las Vegas. Been to ECO 3 times, but first EDC Las Vegas. And I was like, I remember coming home and my buddy who was like, how was it, bro? And I was like a week later, I was like, dude, I don't even know like how to put it into words right now. I still am like, it was just so overwhelming, like so much stuff that they have there. So much, just the stage production, firework, show, light shows, like art stuff they got, the downtown, like they did so much. You're like, holy shit, like this is just crazy. I'm looking forward to going again if it happens, of course, but I'm trying to go again and
100%
just to get a better feel for it, because I literally am like, I don't even know where to begin.
There's new stuff that's the thing, like, and that's with any like really big festival. There's new stuff every year. You can never get to it because once you get there, like shit goes out the window and plans change and you're all over the place. And then as the night goes on, you're like running around to all different sets and things like that. But what was the what's been the difference in EDC Orlando over the few years? Because I went for the first time this past year and I heard it was pretty different from
Oh
ones
my
in the
God, it
past.
was. You went on the best year that I've been. Honestly, and also, I mean, not that they were all good. They were all good. And my favorite stage wasn't last year. My favorite main stage was 2018. I thought that main stage was
that the hearts?
Where the two people. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. I love that stage so much. For some reason, I think it's just beautiful. The way the lights were on that and like just beautiful. Anyways, but I would get like, woo. But EDC Orlando.
There's nothing like EDC main stage. I mean, it really is ridiculous.
It is, but just something about that one, it gets me. I'm like, that was so beautiful. But the main difference, I mean, obviously it's like a mini Vegas. It's very small. They've got a couple of the same things. The year you went was better because they had expanded it, so it was a lot bigger. Right. They switched where the stages were. So Circuit Grounds was usually, actually, this is a better way to explain it. Main stage was, you know, how it was kind of sideways.
Yeah.
And then Neon Garden was to the left of it. Usually what is on that side was Circuit Grounds, and it's actually shifted to the right straight away. And they only had one tent for Neon Garden, so one big round tent for Neon Garden, versus what they had this year, because they expanded it, was like 3 or 4 tent heads in one long rectangle. So that was new. And like I said, they pivoted the stage on that side, so it was actually open even more to the left and the right, rather than just straight arrow. So that was new. And then obviously again, so then Circuit Grounds, they moved to the other side of the stadium, and I thought that fit in perfectly on that side, because there's not much, they can't expand anymore on that side, so it was it fit and tucked in perfectly. And then the stage, I gotta ask your opinion. What did you think of that Circuit Grounds at EDC Orlando 2019?
So Friday, obviously it rained, which kind of was like a damper. I wanted to be there a lot longer, and then I didn't spend that much time. And it's debatable. I loved EDC Circuit Ground. I loved Circuit Grounds at EDC this year the most. It was my favorite design because it kind of like wrapped almost all around you, and I thought the LED screens were crazy. So when they didn't carry that over and I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's disappointing. I was hoping it was going to be the Vegas stage. And then Sunday, arguably one of the best lineups back to back I've ever fucking seen in my entire life. It was filthy. It was like crazy. I was there the entire time. It was Nora En Pure into Chris Lake into Seven Lions into Eric Prydz and ended with Zoo.
Yeah, wild.
I'm sorry, what?
I actually was only there for Seven Lions and Chris Lake, but other than that, it was wild.
Both amazing sets. Fair. I know there was like R.L. Grime and Alice in Wonderland, I think, at the same time, which pulled a lot of people away.
It was so sad to miss R.L. Grime.
Sad. Yeah, but anyway, so that was a long-winded way of saying after spending all that time there on Sunday, I learned to love it, and I thought it was really fucking beautiful.
Something about them honeycombs. That's the best way to describe that stage, was the honeycombs.
And the lasers were so good. Like, it looked sick.
Yeah, I will tell you for sure. So even if they did do the same stage as EDC Las Vegas, they make it still smaller. Both years before that, they did the same. I guess, yeah, they did the same stage, and they made, it's like the best way to describe it is the front of the stage would be the same, but then on the side, they, instead of having it connected, they always have those small, like, little pillars on the side, like one at the front and then one at the back. They did that every year, so that wasn't changed. All they did this year was change the way that stage looked, and for some reason, I like the way that stage looked better, way better than even better than Vegas, in my opinion. Which, to each his own. Yeah. But something about that stage, to me, I was like, that stage is awesome. And like you're saying, the production on, I can for sure tell you that the production on that stage was the best by far out of the 3 days. I mean, it was like, I remember being like, holy crap, like, what is going on? Like, they really stepped it up this year, and it was there. It showed for sure.
No, it was amazing. I miss it.
It was. So, okay, so that was, we got on a huge tangent. So favorite festival was EDC Las Vegas. No doubt about it. What would you say your best festival was? Your best one you can think of that it's like stands out as like one of the best times that you had. And if you had two, I'll accept two.
Ooh, okay. I honestly, EDC Las Vegas 2016. 2019 was amazing. It's a close second, but EDC Las Vegas 2016, hands down, overall best fucking weekend of my life. It was amazing.
And why? What artists and stuff made it so great?
I have a funny story. I'll tell you off this.
But
no, it was good. It was a good. Okay, it was the perfect combination. It was my second year going, so I felt a little bit more prepared. I had a really good group with me. There was 4 of us, so it was my best friend and then 2 of our friends that we had met through EDC, and they were from Salt Lake City. So it was the 4 of us. The sets that year were just incredible. It was the first time I saw Eric Prydz live. Mm-hmm. Changed me. Absolutely amazing. 7 Lions on main stage. I had seen him once before, but none of them had seen him. So like introducing them to him, and that like you have just go back and listen to some of the EDC 2016 sets. Okay. Jaws, like that was when Jaws was like coming onto the scene. Nightmare was like popping off. I forget who, like Above and Beyond that year. It was a week after the Pulse nightclub shooting in Florida. And they did a beautiful tribute and put like Love Wins on the screen with like all rainbow. I was like in tears. It was absolutely beautiful. And we just had the best fucking time that whole weekend. So it was like a combination of all of it. It actually was my least favorite main stage design that year, though.
Interesting. Wow. Wow.
It was the one that looks like it kind of. I think it was like the Tree of Life or something, but it kind of looks like a giant goblet thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I really didn't like it.
Wait, we can pull it up. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was a little underwhelmed by it. It like shot fireworks like right out of the middle of it, but out of all of the ones I've seen, definitely least favorite. I think it might have been called Tree of Life. I'm not sure.
Let's see if we can.
What was the theme that year?
There's got to be an image of it.
Kinetic Temple.
This one. Oh, yeah. That does look interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't a fan because the year before it was like a giant owl.
All right, I just want the picture. Yeah, I saw the owl.
That's the sketches of it, yeah. It was interesting.
I don't know.
I mean, they're all like incredibly intricate and amazing. But do you have any favorite stage designs you've ever seen?
For sure. Like I was saying that. I gotta pull it up now. I want to see it. EDC Las Vegas, 2018, I think it was.
Oh, the EDC 20. Okay.
But I gotta just see it. I gotta see it.
Kinetic Love. That was such a good theme.
18. Why is everything capitalized? No one knows.
Even this year grew on me. I thought the 2 heads back to back looked insane.
It just didn't quite grow on me. I was hoping it would. It just didn't. I don't know why, but
yep.
Look at that. That's just beautiful. I just like can't get over it. Like I really can't.
Well, it'd be like the heart would beat and then it would send like pulses out through the rest of the like LED screens. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
Oh. We're emo talking about this.
Oh my god, look at it. There it is. Okay, cool. Look how big that is. And I love, that's what I do love about Vegas is just how big the stages are. Like if you see if you're looking at the picture, those of you that are going to watch it on YouTube can see it, but on the podcast wise there's the middle column, which has the 2 people holding the heart. And then it's got 1 column and 2 column at each side. And that is just, to me, and then they always have it kind of curved a little bit. You can never really tell. It's always got it like a little bit of a curve feeling in. And it just encompasses it's just so massive and and they do this for everything at EDC Las Vegas. And then EDCO, they shorten it and they only do the middle and then 1 thing on each side, 1 more pillar on each side.
Where do you normally stand in the crowd?
I would say I go. What's funny is I started in the back.
Okay.
And now I move up. Now I'm
on the rail.
Now I'm going to the rail and all that and being more in the middle. I don't know why I've done the reverse of what most people do. Most people are up on the rail when they first start and then they move back and chill. I was up. I was the opposite.
That's awesome.
How about yourself?
I'm always pretty strategic. I'm always like very front right or very front left, just so we can get in and out. And I do like to hear it pretty loud. If I'm like EDCO, for example, I critiqued the Neon Garden sound bleed into kinetic field, because for Above and Beyond, we were in the far back left, and I could catch a little bit of Neon Garden and a little bit of Above and Beyond. So I was like, guys, we need to go up further into the crowd.
Yeah, I'm hearing too much, too many
Yeah.
noises from two
So usually
sides.
front left or front right, so you can get in and out.
Do you wear ear protection? This is a curious question.
I started about 2 years ago, so I should have a.
I mean, it wasn't really talked about until recently. I feel like so. No. I mean, I wasn't wearing any until Lost Lands 2019 when they gave us Excision gave everybody a pair of like the Eargasm head like little ones.
Yeah.
And they came in a case that said Lost Lands and had the X on it, and I was like, I like fell in love with the little case for some reason. I was like, I love this little case. And that's when I started wearing earphones and or earplugs. And I'll be honest, the Eargasm ones, not that I'm not sponsored, I'm not promoting them, but they are really good. Like this is legit. Like they are really good, and I barely notice a difference. Like I mean barely. Like it's really minuscule. And I don't. And then at the end of the night, I pull them out, and I'm like, oh my god, I can hear. But sometimes I don't wear them still, just because I want to hear. I can't. Sometimes people talk to me and I'm like, I can't hear you. Like I can hear the music fine. I just can't hear you.
It muffles the people next to you, so it's tricky. So I use Zound. They're like a smaller company, but they're still high fidelity earplugs. And I think they had sent them to me, but it was one of those things. Like again, I've been going to shows so long that I would get the tinnitus, especially at EDM shows in Brooklyn and things like that. When you're in a smaller club, you leave there where your ears are just ringing into the night and you can barely sleep. And so now wearing them, I will never forget them. I bring them on like a little lanyard, and some of my friends don't wear them. And I'm like, I don't know how your ears aren't absolutely bleeding right now. It's so bad for your hearing.
It really is. We've got a few friends that it started to become like noticeable that they're like, huh? And we're like, like this is not weird. Like out of shows, they're just like, what? What do you say? I'm like, oh god, this is just please wear it. Just wear headphones. You're the one who always.
I bring extra sometimes. I remember I was on the art car last year. We were sitting on the art car, and it was like so incredibly loud. And there was this one like cute little moment. This kid sitting next to me, I think he was like a little bit messed up, but he was trying to get his his earplugs out of the little like vial thing, and he couldn't get them. And so we all tried, and we're trying to like dig into them. And luckily, I carry like 2 or 3, so I like pulled my earplugs, and he was just like so thankful for them. And then we follow each other on Twitter now to this day.
That's so sweet. That's what it's all about, right there.
That's what Plur is about.
That's what Plur is about. And you know what? We might as well just segue right into that. What I always like asking that, especially people within the EDM community, is their thoughts on Plur. And let's go with that. Let's start with what are your thoughts on Plur and all of what it encompasses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think some people may be newer to the scene, or some people might think it's like cheesy or something like that. I'm a huge Plur person. I've like recently been getting into more Plur person. I just think it's such a good mantra for the community, and like each letter that it stands for, like peace, love, unity, respect, all means really important things. And I feel like especially when you're at shows, you kind of just need to treat everyone around you like they're not a stranger, and respect the venue, respect yourself, respect other people. We're all there for the same purpose, to have a good time. Like be responsible for yourself and your actions. And I don't know, there's just no feeling like being at a festival. Everyone's so warm and welcoming, and I just feel like it's a huge part of the culture for me.
It's so much. It makes you feel so good when you can extend the kindness and make someone's night. It's like, just like you said with the giving somebody a simple earphone, and they were just so happy about it and so thankful for it. And then you know what? You go away feeling great about that. It's like a contagious thing that is a big part of shows, should always be a big part of shows. And, people in the community definitely, I think, should extend that out into the world and get that going in their daily lives, because you can do stuff like that every day. It's something so small and minuscule that just can do so much for somebody else. And then and again, I'm not trying to sound selfish, but in a way, you walk away, you feel better. You've helped somebody, you feel better. Sure. It's like a contagious feeling. It's just great. And I agree. Yeah, it's definitely something that I think is just so important about shows. And I very rarely run into issues where it doesn't happen. But there are certain festivals where it seems to be more apparent than others.
Yes, 100%.
And it's just, and that's something me and my group have started to do, is like we do bring extra candies or something, extra gum and extra Vicks or whatever that people might need, and just kind of always, share it, give it away, and just small stuff like that, or even like giving somebody a bracelet that you like, and you explain to them like this is super important to me for this and this, but I want you to have it. I mean, I have a buddy, my buddy gave me one that has like a like the Tree of Life, kind of like the Lost Lands logo on it. And I don't know if that's called the Tree of Life, but I'm gonna go with it. And I remember we like ran into each other. It's a friend that he's not in my immediate friend group. I actually met him at a festival. We clicked, so we keep in touch, and when we're at festivals, we hope to meet up, or we've met up every time since we've met. That's awesome. And not even had to text each other. Like, it's just we're just our energy, whatever, just find each other. And end of one of the nights, I'm like walking out, or like starting to walk out, and he sees me, and he's like, yo, and he comes rushes over, and he's like, hey, I made this for you. Like, you helped me, like, so much during this one time in my life, and I don't think you knew that, but like, I made this, and this is represent like you and you guiding me and helping me through that time in my life. That's so awesome. And I was like touched by it. Yeah. And I keep it in my truck. I just leave it up in my truck, and just to remind me of like that that feeling of just extending that help. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing that is so important, I feel like, is helping people. I don't know about you. I always check on people that are around us. If you see something, if I see something that's out of the ordinary, I'm like, 1 second, group, I'll be right back.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, I think that's a huge part of it. I mean, that's like a big thing for me, obviously, with like the YouTube channel and stuff like that. But I'm the same as you. It's just like being extra prepared. I just want the people around me to have as much fun as I'm having, and that's like the whole point of all of this. Is like, I love the community so much that I wanted to share it with other people, and I wanted more people to know about it and like bring more people in. But yeah, there's no better feeling than being at a festival or a rave, and you find out it's somebody's first event or something like that, and like, you just shower them with gifts, and you just like treat them so well because you want them to have the best time possible. So I love that feeling too, of like introducing people to things. But like the sharing of candy is the best thing ever. I've gotten like the nicest thing. There was one time, I think it was Eric Prid's, maybe 2018. My group is obsessed with him. We were having the time of our lives. Like, you could tell we were so into it. And this guy came over to us and gave us each candy, and sometimes you don't look at it right away, you look at it later. And I look at it, and they were all like little perlers, and each of them had an Eric Prydz song on them, and we we were like, that is just the most fucking amazing thing ever.
That's even more cool. Yeah,
so good. Especially, and another person I met at EDC last year, he was like, he knew me from my YouTube channel, which was the coolest fucking thing ever, and he traded me a candy, and same thing, I didn't read it right away. Later, I looked at it, and it said Emma's Wolf Pack, and it had a little wolf perler on it, and I was like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Got a little pack following now. That's so cool.
It was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just so thoughtful. Like, the fact that people spend time, make these things, bring them to festivals, and trade them with other people, I think is just like going the extra mile.
It is, yeah. And I always tell people, it's funny because we had some girls in our group that would make them a lot, and some of them would start make them for themselves. They'd be like, oh, I want that one, oh, I want that one, and I'm like, I'm like, y'all cute, but like, you're supposed to give these away. Like, like, you do know that, right? And they're like, yeah, of course. But like, I just want it, like, and I'm like, all right, sure. And sometimes they never trade them, but it's funny just to, obviously you make some you want. I get that. I get that. But not every one of them. You got to trade some of them away. So are you more of a rave mom, or what? Wanderer? 100% rave mom?
Yeah.
What are some rave mom, what is it called? Like, rave mom tips or things that a rave mom would do. I'm usually the rave dad of the group, so I'm sure we can come up with some stuff that we're like known for doing.
For sure. I think it's just like about, again, being prepared, and it's just like learning through mistakes. So I'm like always the one who has wet wipes on me to like wipe her hands off, or like for the bathrooms and things like that. I'm the one with the schedule. I'm also just type A. So like my rave fam, literally, they'll be like, here's who we want to see, but whatever you take us to will be fine. So I'm the one who's like, hey, that's done. This is the stage we're going to next. So we got to go eat. Let's sit down. Like, being on top of that. And it doesn't sound fun to some people, but I promise you, I'm having a fucking great time doing it. That's how my brain works.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. So it's funny is my group, I would say I don't ever usually make the times. I give input. I'm like, I give input to the schedule. Like, look, this is who I'm looking to see, and then I like, but then I'm on top of. But exactly, like they might make the schedule, and if there's a conflict, they mean like we're going to go here. We're like, I'm the one to coordinate. Like, hey, you guys should probably get going. Like that's gonna start. We're staying here, but like go. Right. Like I'm still. I don't make the schedule necessarily, but I am certainly like head of it. I'm like, hey, we're going now. Like, oh, you guys are staying here. You stay here. Don't move. We'll be back. We're going there. Like, it's like all, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, a perfect example of this is like, so one of my rave fam that I went with was like the three of us for a really long time. And we made, me and my one guy friend, we made an Excel sheet and we drop in all the time slots and all the artists we want to see. And then we click over to her sheet and it's just like a picture of a cow. That's the perfect representation. She's like, I genuinely don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the flow. Yeah, and that's sometimes that's like, what's fun too. Is I've done festivals like that where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take this day and just do what I want, and I'm just gonna go see like I did that at Forbidden Kingdom, and like I would be like my buddies, someone would be like, hey, we're gonna go Murata, you want to come with us? And I'd be like, I'll go for a little bit. And I would go see 30 minutes of him and then run over and go see 30 minutes of the other person. It was like running back and forth, but it's fun to do both. You're fine.
That's what my tattoo says, by the way. It says go with the flow. You just can't really read it.
I'm also very curious because I always like to ask people, how do you go about planning festivals? And particularly, how do you go planning festivals financially? You don't have to dig too deep into like obviously money, like how I make this. You don't have to give me that. But I'm talking like how do you, because I feel like that's a very big thing in EDM Twitter that's so maybe not talked about is the financial aspect of planning. If you plan, if you save for it, if you I don't know what you do, but if you do that, what tips do you have?
I think so, obviously it's going to depend on how old you are, and like I totally get it when you're in school, when you're younger, like you're not going to have as much money, especially if you don't have like a full-time job yet. So, you can work up to treating yourself as you get older. But number one is I always do the payment plan. Always. I just think it's the easiest way to break it up. And then we would typically, I really like booking.com. So even for Abu Dhabi this year, sometimes you can pick your hotel and they either will reserve it for you without a deposit or they'll take a very small deposit and you pay it in full when you get there. So that's a good way to just like lock it in. You have peace of mind that your hotel is booked and then you're good to go. Splitting it with a group. I know some people prefer to travel solo, but splitting with a group, or even if you go solo, doing like an Uber pool, like splitting it there. And then flights, I just track them on Hopper and I try and pick a good time when it tells you that the rates are down. So those are the main things. And then it's tricky. I feel like if you're going to go to like Miami or Vegas and you're going to do events, I always try to finagle like a guest list line because there's so many promoters in those places. You can most likely get yourself on a guest list. Otherwise, entry to those places could rack up a guy like $80 to $100 for like 1 day party ticket, which you'll blow your budget in like a second with that.
Yeah, that's a good tip right there for sure. I always tell people, at least if you can plan for a festival, always. My rule of thumb is always have enough for the event and then some after, just because you never know what life might throw at you, and you might, you might need to have that money. I'm very against like just blowing all your money and going. I'm very 100%. Much against that, but that's something people got to learn and go through the steps and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, to me, I'm like same thing you said, payment plan, booking flights early, doing stuff like that, all works out. Especially works out better when you have a group, and then on top of that, you always have money left over just in case something goes wrong, something happens afterwards. So that way you're not, you don't stress yourself and put yourself in a predicament that could have been avoided.
Yeah, for sure. How do you feel about like the frequency of events? Because I think that was like something that seemed to happen, especially in 2019. Like it was almost as if it was a rat race of like who's going to attend the most events, and people were just like stacking events on top of each other, whether or not it was a smart financial decision. And some people might disagree with this, but I got to the point where every lineup was so fire. Like everything was fire. You're going to see these people at some point. And if you already have so many on your calendar and you think you can, to your point, like just send it and you'll figure out the money later, I almost rather I feel like you should just wait and go the next year and maybe not put as many on your schedule because I don't know. All lineups are good. Like you're gonna see more. The festival's not gonna go anywhere besides COVID. Like they'll all be back at some point. You'll have another
Yeah.
opportunity to go to them. Don't put yourself out financially just to like make it.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, I've definitely had to like work from all my money. I've had to work for every festival I've been to, so I definitely have the opposite view than a lot of people probably, but I am definitely all about that. It's like to me, your financial security should come first before the festival. Like I just firmly believe that. Just because I think, like I said, like you just don't know what else might occur. You don't know what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying save up all your money and hoard it and never use it. Definitely not saying that. I get it. Go have fun. The way the way I do my stuff personally is I work my ass off. I save up. If I want to go to a festival, I have that in my head. I'm going to that one. Right. Save up my money. I'm saving up before they go on sale. Like I'm knowing I want to go, and I buy the ticket. And then what I do then is I save up X amount of money. I have a goal prior to the event itself, because when I go away on my trips, I work a lot, and then I go away on my trip. My trip is balls to the wall at that point. Like I work hard, and now I'm playing hard, and I make it to a point to where I don't actually have to worry about money while I'm on my trips. I've done this for years now, where I work so hard that when I do these trips, I don't worry about a dime. We go eat somewhere that's super expensive, fine. I go want to spend I want to stay an extra night. I've done that before, and I go have to buy a room. Done. Awesome, yeah. Like it's that is, to me, it releases so much less stress on the whole situation, and I think it's something people don't take into account, because I know plenty of people that they get to the events and they have like anxiety, or they're getting anxiety on the way up. I don't know if I can pay for this. I don't know if I can afford this and this, and they're like, I have to buy outfits now. I don't even have money for outfits. Like, oh my gosh. And it's like, okay, this could all, and I this is how I am, but it could all be, I look at it and I'm like, it could all be avoidable. Like if you just took a little time to plan it out, and you'd end up fine. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. You'd be so much happier going into it. You wouldn't have any stress about it. And then at the end of the day, you come out of it and you're like, oh, the whole time there's no stress. There's no stress the whole time. Even afterwards, there's no stress.
I'm on board with that.
That's how I do it. I mean, some people might disagree, but that's how I do it for sure.
Yeah.
So we've talked a ton about festivals and all that. I want to know a little bit more about your podcast. Why don't you tell people give us a little synopsis of what it is, how I know it's rave culture and stuff like that, but give me your words about what it's about and maybe what it's going to be.
Sure, yeah. So it's called Rave Culture Cast. It comes out every Wednesday. And I like to call it, I say it's your weekly guide to the EDM community, music festivals, and more, because I do cover a lot of topics related to it. But essentially, I'm going to be talking about anything related to the EDM scene. I have a segment at the end of every episode where I cover EDM news. And I just really wanted it to be a place to like talk about the rave scene, whether people are like veterans who have been in it for a long time, or you're just getting into it and you want to know like what this is about. And music festivals are a part of that. And then I would say probably in like the last 6 months, I've had guests on last year, but it became way more of a passion for me this year. And so I started with other ravers coming on, and now it's like content creators, business owners, industry professionals, and now I'm getting into artist interviews, and I love interviewing people. So it's just been like the most rewarding thing ever, and I'm on a kick right now. I'm gonna do solo episodes here and there, like the Your Craziest Festival Stories that just came out, but I have like 5 more interviews coming out after this, and there's just something about the energy of like going off of somebody else that I really like.
Yeah, it is. It's so much fun to just talk to people and learn about them, and they get to talk, and the conversation just flows. It's so much fun doing all that. I love it. I played the podcast up for those who are watching the YouTube video. This is her podcast. Yeah. Feel free to check it out. She's got a description. She's got tons of episodes, tons of artists and other people on. So make sure you guys definitely check that out. I love it. I when I read the description of your podcast, I was like, that's a perfect. Your description was so like fluid and to the point. I was like, that's perfect. Like that's so perfect. because I always feel like mine is so hunky dory and like long. And I would look at yours and I was like, I gotta shorten mine. I was like, I gotta shorten mine. Mine's like too long.
I feel like you definitely figure it out as it goes, and then as it's like learning on a job. Like as you do it, you figure out what works for it, what doesn't. You evolve the whole thing. Like I didn't have YouTube videos it's on my personal YouTube channel, but I didn't have video for the longest time. I built up to that, and then it was just showing my logo. Then I got Zoom, and now I actually show the people. Like you just try and improve on the experience as you go. You buy different equipment and do all that stuff. And now I'm actually launching a merch line, which I'm very excited and nervous for.
What will the merch be? If you can share, would you like to share? You don't have to.
What the merch will be?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first launch is like straight up like the logo. This is like the core collection kind of thing, and I spent a lot of time just like talking to listeners, and I did a Zoom call and asking people like what they would want, what accessories, what clothing, and I actually like didn't put pressure on myself with a timeline for the first time. I was like, I'm gonna like nail this and take my time with it, and it's looking like it's gonna come out in September, so there'll be like nice stuff for fall and everything like that.
So it'll say Rave Culture Cast.
It'll say Rave Culture Cast. Yeah, I wish I have stuff back there, but yeah, that'll be the first collection, and then maybe in the future I will do more collections, not Rave Culture Cast. We shall see.
That's awesome. That's good for you. I've been sort of getting ready to do the same thing. I haven't made any moves yet, but I'm starting to work on getting some designs in for stuff like that. So that's awesome. That's like to me, that's a huge move. You're just like, this is my stuff. I like did it. Like you're just so excited about it. At least I do. At least
it's scary because I feel like some people jump into that stuff right away, and like I have friends who have started rave clothing companies, which I think is absolutely amazing. But for some reason, for me, I had so many projects on my plate. I was like, if I can't dedicate the time to it, I don't want to half-ass it. Half-ass it and like throw it up on a website. Like I wanted to do the research into the right platforms. I've ordered the materials so many times, and I like really wanted to wait till I had the time to do it. So that's like now obviously was like a good time finally. So yeah.
I don't blame you. It's smart to do it that way. I know.
But we lost your mic.
There we go. I don't know what that was about.
Mic down.
Yeah, mic down. But no, I agree. I'm sure you get that feeling too. I get that feeling at times where I'm like, I have so much like on my plate, and it's hard to like sit in like, okay, I have to hone in on this today and do this today and like blah blah blah. Because I'm also in the process of building a website, so it's like I got a website I want to do, I got clipping I want to do, I got
a lot.
Yeah, and you're like, so it's like you almost gotta like start. It's so organization comes down to that. Organization is key, and I'm horribly unorganized. I've always been. I've got the ambition, I've got the hard work. Horribly unorganized. I've always had to work on that, and the second my organization goes out of whack, things in life
thrown off,
start falling apart. Absolutely. It's really
true. I mean, you're juggling so many things. It's like you kind of gotta like get a hand on everything. That could be a whole separate episode. I could go off on a fucking tangent about time management and taking on too much. I learned my lesson, I think, through quarantine, because I thought I had extra time because you're not like commuting into the city anymore, and it was like the complete opposite. I piled way too much on my plate, and I actually have been really good about setting boundaries, and I took some projects off my plate, and it's been like the best feeling ever.
It's funny you say that. It's because I same thing. Quarantine came, I felt like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of this, and I don't get me wrong, I did, but I went probably you're saying like I went a little too much, and like things started just going crazy, and then things are falling left and right, and and then I had a job where I worked 10-hour days, 4 days a week, which seems great. Like you're like, cool, amazing. Yeah. But then I had Monday through Wednesday off, and that threw so much off as well, because it's like, it's cool to have 4 days on, but then when you're working the 4 days, your entire friend group that's off those 4 days, you're like, I don't see my friends. Like I don't see my friends, that's annoying. And you're not going out, and then COVID hits, so no one, you're not doing anything during those 3 days off. Not like I couldn't travel anywhere, I couldn't do anything, so it was, and then it just threw and I got so disorganized. It threw so much off. But it's totally understandable. It's totally understandable.
I think it threw everyone like no matter what. This obviously touched every single person in every single industry. It's like honestly ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah, you kind of just like, similar to you, like I listen to Gary Vee a lot. Like I definitely was in denial the first 2 months, obviously, like losing the thing like we love the most. But then I pretty quickly was like, okay, this could either be a throwaway year and you can just sulk, or you can still like have progress and still move ahead. And honestly, there's been so many moments this year I'm gonna look back on and be like, yeah, COVID was the fucking worst, but I'm healthy, and so many milestones actually happened for me, and I feel like I've grown a lot as a person. So it's been good and bad.
I mean, I think there's no doubt about it that I would say majority of people grew some way or another.
Yeah.
I would say there's exceptions in my mind that like, oh, you know, you've been maybe something the opposite. They're so busy that when they got to COVID, they were finally able to take a break, right? And they discovered the importance of taking a break. But I think if you, I don't want to make a broad statement, but it's like, you know, if you haven't learned, if you didn't learn something about yourself, or really about yourself during this time, what's going on? Like you had to have learned something, at least in my mind.
I think so. I mean, I would hope so.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Well, honestly, on that note, I think I'm going to end it on that note. That was a great note.
Yeah. Positive.
Go ahead and plug in everything, and once again, your podcast, your Instagram, and I can put those up as you talk about them.
Yeah, so the podcast you can find at Rave Culture Cast on Twitter and Instagram, and then my YouTube channel is just youtube.com/Emma Kapotes. All my handles are at Emma Kapotes, and I just started this week Rave Culture Cast Clips, which is going to be just quick highlights and like bonus interviews. So you yourself will be on there with our bonus interview we just did, and
I'm excited.
I just feel like it'll be fun because I don't have my own YouTube channel for that, but I think that's pretty much everywhere. You'll find me active on all of the platforms.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for coming on. I will gladly have you come on again. I enjoyed this so much. And like you said, there's so much more we could have talked about. I just don't want to take too much more time, but I will gladly have you come on again. So
thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.